Hey, I'm Antonia. This is Universally Me, and we're in the midst of one of my favorite months of the year leading up to one of my favorite holidays of the year, Halloween. And I thought that I'd put out a couple videos over the next week or two specifically dealing with Universal's horror history. So just last week I went to go see Frankenstein on the big screen at the Old Town Music Hall in El Segundo, which is a great theater that shows classic films. If you haven't been there, I highly recommend it. But the whole time watching the movie, I kept leaning over to my friend like, oh, did you know this about the movie? Or, oh, did you know that about Boris Karloff? Or, have you heard this or that? And she made a lot of fun of me, but it gave me the inspiration for this next set of videos. So without further ado, here are 10 facts about Frankenstein. John Carradine and Bela Lugosi were both supposedly considered for the role of the monster in the film, but the role ended up going to a relatively unknown actor at the time, Boris Karloff, who was 44 when he was cast. Jack Pierce, who did iconic makeup for Universal for years, created the look of the monster with the help of Boris Karloff and director James Whale. And it took hours every single day to put the monster's look together. The monster's shoes weighed about 13 pounds each. And I know I always think about that when I see him like clomping around in the film. And I know between that and when he has to carry Colin Clive, Dr. Frankenstein, up the windmill at the end, he had back problems for years after this film. There were two big scenes that got censored from Frankenstein over the years. The first is when Dr. Frankenstein says, "Now I know what it's like to be God," and that got pulled out because it was considered blasphemous. And the second scene that got pulled for a while was the scene with little Marilyn Harris, the little girl that Frankenstein's monster throws into the lake. And I guess they thought it was too scary or too gruesome. But over the years, both scenes have been put back, and I think that's good. I think they make it better. And speaking of Marilyn Harris, there was a lot of concern before she filmed that she would be too scared of the monster to be able to work and to do her job, but she actually said in an interview that she really wasn't nervous at all, and she took an immediate liking to Boris Karloff even when he was in the costume. And Karloff in later interviews would talk about how children just really seemed to be drawn to him even when he was supposedly in this super scary look. And I always just thought that was really interesting. There are a few continuity errors in the film, as well as one part where you can actually see the shadows from the crew on a pillar. But I would say probably the biggest goof in the Frankenstein film is in the backdrop of the sky toward the end of the film when they're by the rocks. You can actually see the wrinkles in the backdrop. I always wonder how nobody saw that and thought to just straighten it out. The budget for Frankenstein was just about $250,000, maybe a little bit more, but the film ended up grossing more than $12 million, so not bad. Boris Karloff was a pretty much unknown actor at the time that he was cast as the monster in the film. So much so that he wasn't even invited to the premiere. But by the time that Bride of Frankenstein came out, he was so well known that they were able to bill him simply as Karloff. Boris Karloff died in a village called Bramshott in England, and this village is supposed to be one of the most haunted in the country with more than 17 ghosts, and Boris Karloff is now said to be one of them, still roaming the streets. Universal made more films featuring the monsters, some with Karloff as the monster and some with other actors. These films include Bride of Frankenstein, Son of Frankenstein, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Also, if you're an Angelino, I know that Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein will be playing at the Old Town Music Hall in El Segundo the weekend of November 1st. You should definitely go. I know I will be there. And thank you very much for watching. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Antonia Carlotta. You can leave questions and comments below. Thanks. Bye.